Okay, fellas, I'm absolutely stoked with you. Another domestic quadruple. We beat Barcelona away. We are in top position to be getting out of this group, as long as we don't blow things in these next two games at home against Ajax and Shakhtar. Okay, so just relax. The two teams we should be beating, let's just go out there, get the job done. Do not blow our good work from the new camp, okay? Just please don't blow it, guys. Please. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 160 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we look to make the most of our win against Barcelona from yesterday's episode to kick off the group stage of the Champions League for 2034 as we take on both Ajax and Shakhtar at home in Iceland in what could be our last couple of games at the Laugardars Villa before our new stadium does open. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, we will also recap the league season now that that has finished. Then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But this is what the group does look like off the back of yesterday's episode, that opening game against Barcelona, as well as the Multiplicarum final against HK down in the Europa League. Of course, we'll check in on those guys as well as Fylkir in the Conference League in today's episode as well. But if you missed that one yesterday, I'll leave a link to it in the top right corner. But before we have a deeper look at Ajax and Shakhtar, we are going to just recap the end of the league season. We were very, very close to sealing yet another top league title here in Iceland, and thankfully, as you can see on screen, we did get the job done. If we go over to the schedule, you'll see it a little bit deeper. We played Nuts KR off the back of that Multiplicarum final. We absolutely blew these guys away nice and early, picking up a 7-0 win. Ajax really hitting his gear in this match. He picked up 4 goals before halftime. Horikawa with 2, he missed a penalty, but got another one later on, and Hans Voss with an early opener, and that was the game where we did seal the title off the back of that. We put out our first choice team against Fram just to give them a little bit of a run out before this next Champions League game. Picked up another very convincing 9-0 win there. Hat-trick there to Adam Saki, as well as Ognian Miskic. He got back into the action there with a hat-trick. And now, unfortunately, our last game of the season, it was against HK. Not much riding on this. And with only a few days before this upcoming game against Ajax, we did put out a heavily rotated team and did drop points for the first time all season there, drawing 2-2. We were a little bit sloppy in this game, albeit Ajax did get us back in front with about 20 minutes left, but then with about 6 minutes left, unfortunately, Radenko Krolo off the bench, he gave away a penalty, which HK did put away. They got a red card in injury time to one of our former players in Gabriel Zapata, but we couldn't make the most of that, and for the first time all season, we did drop points. But going back to the points table, it didn't make too much difference, just means that we dropped points for the first time in a couple of seasons here domestically, but we pick up the league by 8 points over HK, with a very good season themselves. They will also join us yet again in Champions League qualifying next season. Fylkir again will be in Europa League qualifying, finishing third, albeit joint on points with Breidablik. They just snuck in there to that Europa League spot thanks to their superior goal differential. So Breidablik will be in Conference League qualifying next year alongside Vala Rakovic, who made that 5th spot quite comfortably thanks to some good late season form alongside Breidablik there, as you can see on the right-hand side. In the team so are getting relegated are Vikinga and Gudota. So that wraps up the domestic season here in Iceland. We pick up the league title yet again. That is for the 12th time in the save, winning it every single time that we have been in the top division. But back to Champions League action now, and it is an early top of the table clash in the first game of today's episode from the Laugardars Villa, taking on an Ajax team which did pick up a 3-0 win before we beat Barcelona in yesterday's episode. A quick look at these guys. As you would expect, they are currently top of the Eredivisie, 4-star reputation club, and they have a decent looking team there. A few familiar names like Kudus in the attacking midfield, as well as Timber and Onana at the back. But I'd like to think these days our squad here at Völsungur is a bit stronger than what they do have there at Ajax. We have a good record against these guys so far in the save. If we go over to the data hub and check that out, you can see We are actually yet to lose against Ajax. We did draw it once. That was in an away game in the Champions League group stage when there wasn't too much riding on it, I think, from memory. But apart from that, we have beaten them in the other 3 times, including in both legs in a Europa League quarterfinal. So we've had a pretty good record against Ajax so far in this save, and it's been a little while since we've played them. Our squad these days should be a bit stronger since we have last played them, so hopefully we can pick up a win here, especially at home. In terms of injuries going into this one, we just have one. Pedro Lemos has a calf strain, so he can't make his way onto the bench, but apart from that, everyone else who was registered for the Champions League is fit and available, so that just means there's one change to the bench, which we'll bring to you shortly when we run through the team sheets before we take on Ajax here from the Laugardas Villa in our second game of the Champions League group stage. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. We are back to full strength apart from on the bench. That is where Ian Carlo comes on for the injured Pedro Lemos, but Mizkic is back at left wing, so that's a good first choice 11 for us there. There is Ajax, pretty similar to what we did see before, and the team that did beat Shakhtar yesterday, and hopefully we can make top spot in this group our own here in our first home game of this year's Champions League. And 9 minutes into this one, we have our first highlight, and Ajax do give the ball away there, trying to play out of defence. A slide tackle here on Mizkic, but thankfully the ball does fall to Kalen Rakasan. Big chance here for Mizkic, hits the post, and he wasn't offside. He did look like he might be a bit beyond the defence there, but it would have stood. So a big miss from us there, but it is still 0-0 coming up to the 15-minute mark, as now Ajax are on the attack, but they put a ball in there, and Carl Vollen is able to claim that very safely. There's a big target there in Barcelona, but will instead roll that out to Ali Ramadan as we now look to play out from the back, but already a big chance which we have missed, but now another one here for Adam Saki. Takes that the wrong side of Onana, but misses the target, so we could already really be 2-0 up here, but still 0-0 after 15 minutes. And our next highlight starts at the 21-minute mark. It's a goal kick from Onana, pumps this deep, and Moriwaka is able to get on the end of that, but now we get it back, and Adam Saki starts to make his way down the left-hand side, just holds things up here, plays this back to Basaroge, and hopefully we can make the most here of this early dominance. Zimmerman puts this in, Kalen Rakasan, but it's a block shot. They just scramble that away there to Ajax, and that is the highlight. Still 0-0 halfway through the first half. And that is half-time in this Champions League group stage game. It is still 0-0, but we have been absolutely dominant. Should really have a goal, a couple of really good chances there in the first couple of highlights. We'll tell the boys we're not happy with how things are going, because we really should be in front, but not too worried. We should break through at some stage in the second half based on how we're going as we get things underway, still locked up at 0-0. And just shy of the hour mark, now I'm starting to get worried. We still haven't broken through. We're just going to switch around our centre backs because it was suggested before we got into this game. I have played a little bit with set piece since you were last here, so we'll just make that change because it was suggested by the assistant, see if that helps out, but it's still 0-0 with only a half hour left. And going forward, only a few minutes off the back of that slight switch at the back, and we are about to make another one because Basaroge is down to a red heart, so Alain Basicki can come on for him for these last 24 minutes. We might also use a counter press instead, just see if that helps, because it has been quite good over the last few seasons in the group stages. So that's our first sub used, and it is still 0-0. And right off the back of that, we're going to make another one because Kalen Rakasan down to a red heart on a bit of an average rating. Fabio Mariano to come on for him, and it's still 0-0 with 20 minutes left. And finally, we have a highlight here in the second half. It's a corner with 15 minutes left. We try and put that near post, but Ajax do deal with it, and they might actually get a chance here on the counter-attack through closing. They have barely threatened us so far in this game. If they do something here, we would be well and truly getting FM'd. It is Moriwaki. I thought I might have got that wrong before, but that is indeed his name, and he just tries to hold things up here. Big chance there for Daramy. Somehow that makes its way inside the inner box, but a good save there from Vollen, and we keep it at 0-0, albeit off the back of that. I think we're going to change a few things here to try and get something happening late in this game. We'll go back to regroup because immediately Ajax got on the front foot. We will up our tempo, and also Radenko Krollo on a 6.8 down to a red heart. Ian Carlo can come on for him with our last sub, but we now need to try and get something going here in these last 12 minutes. Otherwise, it's going to be drop points at home here against Ajax. And we are about to enter the last 5 minutes of this game. We're going to make another tweak here. We're going to put our wing backs on attack because we need to get something happening to try and break down Ajax here. We've had our chances, but at the moment, just not quite doing enough to get a goal. We'll also put Lasana Doumbia to a centre mid on attack and just change a few things here in terms of our attack. Not focus down the middle, go a little bit wider and see if anything comes from this corner, which is happening off the back. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Still 0-0 here, but we have another corner not too long off the back of that. Denali with a header, but it just gets saved there from Onana. We are still on the attack and somehow we can't put that ball in the back of the net. A real scramble there inside the box from Ajax, but as you can see, that ball doesn't quite make its way over the line. And at the moment, it looks like Ajax here might hold on away from home, still 0-0, as we are about to enter injury time. And we have just entered injury time in this one. We need a late highlight, and we might get it here with 2 minutes left. We have a corner, but Denali can't quite get his head on the end of that, and Ajax have a chance on the counter. It is Klose who makes his way into the box right on the edge of it. Tries to play a ball in there for Moriwaki, but thankfully Doumbia is there to intercept, and Mizkic now gets us into the opposition half, starts to make his way down the left wing. Can we get a goal here very late? I think it's deserved based on the stats, but we need it. We try and play a ball over there for Zimmerman, but unfortunately the Ajax defence just heads that back to Onana, and with only 1 minute and a little bit of extra change left, it is still 0-0, and this would be a really disappointing result considering the way that we have played off the back of that 1-0 win yesterday. But a nice ball there for Adam Saki. Good first touch, and he beats Onana past him at his near post, and thankfully we grab a goal with only 1 minute left. We are immediately going to start time wasting just to make sure that we do see this out, go back to some of our usual strategy here, and just hope that that is the goal which makes sure that we do pick up 3 points here, which I think we deserve. But boy, oh boy, have we left it late here at the Laugada Zabala. A lot of good chances in the first half, not quite so many in the second half. It was actually a pretty good one to Ajax, but a nice ball over there from Nicholas Zimmerman, and Saki, just that first touch, takes it around Onana, beats him in his near post, and that could be a very important goal to put us on top of this group. We'll just wait and see what happens in this last minute, and thankfully we escaped that with a win, albeit when you look at the stats, we really should have won that game a lot more comfortably. A few big missed chances there in the first half, but we will take those 3 points all day long, getting a goal with only 1 minute left there. Ajax nearly held on despite only getting one shot off in that game, and apparently it wasn't even on target, even though I'm pretty sure I saw Calvillan make a quite important save, and a big 3 points there, the way that it looked like that game might finish. But that late goal to Adam Saki means we are going to be 6 from 6 after 2 games in this group, and it should really be 9 from 9 taking on Shakhtar in the next game coming up in this episode. Very good late goal there from Adam Saki, and that result is made all the better by the fact that Shakhtar have held Barcelona to a draw at home. So that does mean that we are now top of the group by 3 points over Ajax, and Barcelona and Shakhtar only on 1 point. So Ajax all of a sudden might be liking their chances of getting out of this group. But in the end, that was a very, very big late goal there from Adam Saki to give us 3 points, and we are now on top of this group. We'll come back shortly, checking on HK and Fylkir before we take on Shakhtar in the second game of today's episode. And we have gone forward a few weeks off the back of that late win there against Ajax. Quite a big win as well when you consider that Barcelona were held to a draw in the other game. We'll check in again on the group table in a minute, but before that we are checking in on the other Icelandic teams in the UEFA competitions. First off, HK unfortunately couldn't quite back up their win from yesterday's episode with another. They suffer a 3-1 defeat there away at Monaco, but they are still third in that group, so that is the Conference League spot, which they do need if they want to make the knockouts of Europe for the first time. It does look like Ari might be the easy beats in that group. Hopefully that continues to ring true, and HK, as I said, can make that first knockout round of the Conference League. And speaking of the Conference League, we make our way down now to check in on Fylkir, and things are not going nearly as well for those guys. Unfortunately, they dropped points there at home to AC Horsens of Denmark, so it does look like they are going to be in a battle potentially for third between them and Podgorica of Montenegro. But that is a very disappointing result there for Fylkir at home in their second game of that group. Hopefully they can do a bit better in their next couple of matchups against Podgorica and try and make their way back into that group to try and get out of it. But it looks a little bit tough there. No points from their first 2 games for Fylkir. So 2 losses there for the other Icelandic teams. Thankfully, we bucked the trend with that late goal against Ajax to give us a win, which does mean that we are top of the group going in to this third match week, albeit Barcelona are now second because they picked up a 3-0 win against Ajax in the early kickoff. So they are 1 point ahead of those guys. That means if we can win this game like we really should against a team like Shakhtar, that means we'll have a 5-point gap at the top of the group at the halfway stage, albeit we would have already played 2 of our home games. So that is something to keep in mind, but that would be a very, very good buffer at this early stage of the group stage. But we are taking on Shakhtar in this upcoming game. They did just get a draw there against Barcelona. Barcelona pushed us pretty close in yesterday's episode, so they might not be the easy beats that we might expect them to be, but they did also lose to Ajax in the first match week as well, albeit, as you just saw, Ajax not a bad team either by the look of it. But Shakhtar on 1 point at the moment in this group, currently second in the Ukrainian league, so not quite on top of that one. Not too many familiar names in that team, and they are a 3.5-star reputation club, so a little bit lower than what we are here at Völsungur these days. Should definitely be a team that we can beat and do so quite comfortably at home, you would expect, especially when you consider we only played these guys in last year's group stage of the Champions League and did pick up 2 very, very comfortable wins, including a 3-0 win at home and 6-0 win away. So this should be a team that we can pick up 6 points against, with a pretty similar quality team to what we did have here last season. In terms of what we do look like going into this game, a quick update on injuries. We've got a few injuries to some players. Pedro Lemos still not back. Alain Basicki, Will Lurvik and Horikawa also have injuries, albeit some of those players not actually registered for the Champions League team. The major injury there is for Alain Basicki. That does mean that we again change things up just a little bit on the bench, but in terms of our starting 11, it's going to be exactly the same as it was for the first game of today's episode. So we'll come back shortly again and run through the team sheets from the Laugadas Vola before we try and grab a decent break at the top of our group at the halfway stage as we take on Shakhtar at home. And here are the team sheets for the second game of today's episode. As I said, starting wise, exactly the same. The one change is that Galtason comes onto the bench for Alain Basicki with that little injury. But apart from that, exactly the same squad. There is what Shakhtar looks like. As I said, not too many notable names in that lineup. And hopefully we can do to these guys what we did last season and pick up a couple of wins against them and just establish ourselves on top of that group. And less than a minute into this one, we have our first highlight. It does start off with a free kick inside our own half, and we look to play out from defence here as Filippo Dinelli takes his time on the ball, but plays a good long ball forward there to Nicholas Zimmerman, and we are now inside the opposition third already. And Nicholas Zimmerman, tight angle, it's saved from Cabell, but it falls to Ognjen Mizkic, and he picks up his first Champions League goal here at Völsungur and gives us a brilliant start that is quite relieving after what just happened before against Ajax when we were well on top of those guys throughout the game. But it took us until the 93rd minute to break through. This time the complete opposite. Mizkic somehow beats the Shakhtar defender to that header, and we go 1-0 up here after only 1 minute. And very shortly off the back of that opening goal, we have another highlight here, starting again at this time with a goal kick deep inside our own half, but we look to play forward here through Lassana Doumbia and play it back there to Basaroge, taking our time here, just trying to stretch the Shakhtar defence, albeit we're taking quite a while here to actually get it out of our defence. But Doumbia now gets it up to Zimmerman on the halfway line, back to Doumbia, and a nice ball over there for Adam Saki. What can he do? He chips the goalkeeper just inside that far post, and after only 3 minutes here, we might have done enough to pick up a win here, already 2-0 up after only 3 minutes. It's a wonderful finish that from Adam Saki. Zimmerman plays this back to Doumbia. Well-timed run that from Saki, too much pace for their defence, and just the right angle and loft there to get that in the back of the net. And after only 3 minutes, it's 2-0 Völsungur. And just shy of the 20-minute mark, we are about to have a corner here as Doumbia puts this into the mixer, and Basaroge, who has just picked up a yellow card, bumps that past the goalkeeper at his near post, and we have a 3-0 lead here just before the 20-minute mark, and we are absolutely flying against Shakhtar, much like we did last season. Good finish there from Gay, and we already have that 3-0 lead. And just past the half-hour mark for our next highlight in this one, just off the back of Nicholas Zimmerman picking up a yellow card. Shakhtar there did briefly have possession, but Dinelli gets us back on the front foot, and we do play that back to our centre-back, Basaroge. Nice ball out there to Radenko. Krolo makes his way into the opposition box, and yet again one of our players on a yellow card will pick up a goal just after getting one. This time Nicholas Zimmerman somehow there beats the goalkeeper with his left foot. That was past his near post. A little bit sloppy there from the Shakhtar goalkeeper, but so far it does look like men against boys. Pretty simple finish there for Zimmerman. Not too flash from their goalkeeper. 4-0, still with about 15 minutes left of this first half. And that is half time here in the second game of today's episode. It's pretty much already wrapped up, you would think. 4 first half goals there, and we take a 4-0 lead into half time. Unfortunately, though, a player from both teams has picked up an injury late in that first half, and for us, it was Kalen Rakasan. We could potentially still play him, but we better be safe here and take him off, especially with the scoreline the way it is. But apart from that, very happy with how that first half went. Certainly looking a lot more threatening than we did against Ajax before. And we are going to take him off, and instead we will bring on Fabio Mariano for him. But we are going to take a nice 4-0 lead into the second half of this one. And very early on here in the second half, we were briefly on the attack there, but Kobel is able to claim things for Shakhtar, and we'll see what happens here. Hopefully, we can get off to a similar start than we did in the first half, albeit good chance here for Shakhtar on the counter-attack, and Burdiak puts that in the back of the net. I told the boys they were doing brilliantly at halftime. That looks like it wasn't quite the right idea because we just had a little bit of sleep there in defence, and one of their attackers there gets the ball back in Traoré, some good short passing. Baranov, he finds Burdiak, and Wallen is trying to defend that, and there's too much of an overlap, and Shakhtar get a goal back here early in the second half, but still a pretty safe lead, 4-1 coming up to the 50-minute mark. And not too long off the back of that goal to Shakhtar to kick off the second half, we have a free kicker, and hopefully we can establish that 4-goal advantage again. This could be quite a good boost in terms of our goal differential as well as our points tally, and that might be important if Barcelona did happen to find a way to beat us when they do play us at home in the second to last game of this Champions League group stage. But yet again, Shakhtar are on the attacks. They have certainly got a rocket up them at half-time, and they put a ball in there from Pavlov, but thankfully a Traoré misses the target. But so far in the second half, it is all Shakhtar, but still 4-1. We're going to take off Basaro Gay, though, on that yellow card. I think that might help because we'll bring on Galtas on. He won't have to ease off tackles, and we'll see if that slows the momentum, but still 4-1 early in the second half to Völsungur. And going forward now, just inside the last 20 minutes, and we're about to make our last substitution because Lassana Doumbia has gone down to a red heart, playing well on an 8.7, but we'll play things safe and take him off. In terms of bench options, we have already brought on both of our midfielders, but Mizkic can also play in the midfield, so we'll switch him in there, and it will be Jonata to come on for Doumbia for these last 18 minutes as we still hold a 4-1 lead. And just about to enter injury time in this game, we are still 4-1 up, albeit haven't really shown a lot in the second half, so Shakhtar giving us a little bit to think about going into the rematch away in tomorrow's episode. A little bit of a deflection there, but Shakhtar still on the attack, but a good slide tackle there from Galtasson gets us on the counter, and Zimmerman starts to make his way down the right-hand side, taking his time waiting for some support in the box, and Jonata just towers over the Shakhtar defence, and he gets a goal off of the bench, puts that into the top right corner. And despite us not really being at it here in the second half off the back of a good first half, we do get a goal back, and that gives us back our 4-goal advantage, and that should make it 5-1 come the end of this one as we are about to play out the rest of injury time. Only 2 minutes of it. The only real concern out of this game, probably that potential injury to Kalen Rakasan, but a very good first half, as I said. Probably switched off a little bit in the second, but we still grabbed a goal back late, and that gives us a 5-1 win. So a good comprehensive performance there, and probably evens things out off the back of all those missed chances that we did have in the previous game against Ajax. But that means that we are going to be 9 from 9 at the halfway stage of this Champions League group. So we put ourselves in a really good position after 3 games in this group. So we'll just get through this post-match interview and see how things stand. But of course, Barcelona did have the early kickoff in this group, so we know that we are 5 points clear at the halfway mark, so in a very, very good position to hopefully top this group, at the very least make it out of it after that 5-1 win there at home against Shakhtar. And we will go forward a little bit off the back of this one and see how both HK and Fylkir also get on in the third match week of the Europa League and the Conference League respectively. But unfortunately, that injury to Kalen Rakasan, quite a serious one. He is going to be out for somewhere between 4 to 5 weeks once we send him to the physio with a calf strain. So that means we might have to change things up at least for tomorrow's episode, where we take on Shakhtar away from home. Hopefully, we still have enough quality to get through that game, but Kalen Rakasan is going to be missing at the very least for that one. Hopefully, he'll be back for our last 2 games of this group once we do tick over into the new season in Iceland. But a potentially big injury there. Kalen Rakasan is going to be sitting out our game in tomorrow's episode. And before we wrap things up for today's episode, as you can see, we're going to have a little bit of a look at the third match week in the Europa League and Conference League for HK and Fylkir. Starting off with HK, unfortunately, they suffer another defeat, this time at home to Athletic Club by 4 goals to 0. So quite a heavy defeat there, albeit Ari yet again have also lost. They still find themselves third in that group as long as they can get the job done over those guys like they did in Champions League qualifying as well as on the first match week they should find themselves in the knockouts of the Conference League, especially with a slightly superior goal differential at the moment. And speaking of the Conference League, Fylkir have picked up their first point of the group stage away at Podgorica. They did concede an equaliser not too long after Arnason did grab the goal to put them in front about 10 minutes into the second half. That does mean that currently they are in third despite having a worse goal differential than Podgorica. Interesting to see though that Horsens have also beaten Nice there at home. So at the moment it looks like Horsens might actually be the best team in that group, but it probably means that Fylkir are going to have a tough time overcoming Nice and getting out of this group. But hopefully they can do something similar to HK and finish third in their group, especially with their next game being at home against the Podgorica team, which they have just drawn against away from home. So that is what things do look like come the end of today's episode. We are top of our group and quite comfortably so as well, 5 points clear of Barcelona. If you did enjoy today's episode, those 2 wins, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Tomorrow we'll come back for the rematch against Shakhtar away from home. Could be a little bit interesting if they play like they did in the second half of that game, but if we show up like we did in the first half, hopefully it's another 3 points for us, and it might even be enough depending on the result in the Barcelona Ajax game to guarantee us some knockout football with 2 games left in this group. And we'll also do our end of season review, seeing as that Shakhtar game is the last one on our schedule for this 2034 season. So that's what's coming up in tomorrow's episode. And until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.